What if the universe isn't nearly as random as we've been told? What if the patterns we see in the sky aren't accidents of nature, but signs of something bigger, something orchestrated? For most of history, humans have looked up at the heavens and seen messages. Ancient civilizations feared comets as warnings from the gods, while others celebrated them as symbols of change and renewal. In the modern age, science has stripped away a lot of that mystery, offering calculations and orbits and neat little predictions that tell us exactly when the next comet will appear. But every now and then, something happens that shakes that certainty. Every now and then, the universe throws a curveball so strange that even scientists can't but wonder if there's more to the story. And that's exactly what we're facing right now. The year 2025 has become unlike any other in recorded astronomical history. 7 comets, each with its own unique path, have arrived almost at once, lighting up the sky in a way no one alive has ever seen. Astronomers call it a swarm year, but even that term feels inadequate. It's not just the number of comets that's unusual, but the timing, all clustered together like they were choreographed to appear as part of a single cosmic performance. And if that wasn't enough to raise eyebrows, an interstellar visitor has appeared in the middle of the chaos, a traveler from another star system, carrying with it materials that don't belong to our solar family. The odds of all this happening in the same year are so low, so improbable, that many can't help but suspect there's a deeper reason. Coincidence is the easy answer, but the sky doesn't feel like coincidence anymore. It feels like a mystery unraveling in plain sight, a puzzle waiting to be solved. What if the story of the sky in 2025 isn't just another chapter in the endless randomness of the cosmos, but the beginning of something far stranger? That's the question that lingers in the back of your mind the moment you hear about what's been happening above our heads. For centuries, people have looked at the stars and believed that celestial events were messages, sometimes from the gods, sometimes from fate itself. Today, we pride ourselves on being more rational, on explaining away the mysteries with math, physics, and observation. But the truth is, even in the 21st century, there are moments when the universe refuses to behave the way we expect. And this year, something has unfolded in the skies that is so extraordinary, so improbable, that even the most grounded scientists have paused and wondered. In 2025, 7 separate comets have all arrived at once, and threading through this chaos is something even stranger, an interstellar visitor, a piece of another star system slicing straight through ours. Put them together and you have a story that feels less like science and more like destiny. Imagine standing outside on a cold, clear night. You tilt your head back, and instead of seeing a solitary streak across the sky, as people are lucky to witness maybe once or twice in their lifetime, you see multiple glowing tails stretching across the heavens at the same time. Bright trails carving lines of fire through the darkness, weaving a cosmic tapestry above your head. It's not the kind of spectacle you read about in textbooks as a regular occurrence. It's not something astronomers warn us to expect every few years. This isn't ordinary. This is a swarm, a rare convergence of comets that on its own would already be historic. But in 2025, the swarm came with company, a stranger, an object not born of our sun, a trespasser from beyond, arriving like an uninvited guest, right in the middle of a performance. And that single fact, the timing of it, transforms the entire show into something that feels almost scripted. Let's put it into perspective. Most years pass without a single naked-eye comet gracing the sky. If you're lucky, maybe one might show up and become a talking point, something people rush outside to glimpse for a few fleeting nights. 7 at once is unheard of in modern times, the kind of event that's meant to exist only in legends and stories passed down from cultures that used to see omens in the stars. Now add to that the arrival of a cosmic traveler that doesn't even belong to this solar system. Scientists call it 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object ever discovered, and while its name sounds technical and dry, this presence is anything but. It came barreling in from the depths of interstellar space, a region so vast and empty that most objects never make it out alive, and yet here it is, carving through our solar system just as 7 local comets decided to put on a show. The odds of all this aligning are so staggering that even the most skeptical astronomers admit it feels bizarre. This is where the story becomes more than just astronomy, because when things happen that defy expectation, human imagination fills the gap. People start to wonder if the universe is sending a signal, or if something is happening behind the curtain that we're only just beginning to notice. You don't need to believe in omens to feel it. The timing is too sharp, too unnerving, too precise. It's the kind of moment that makes you look up and ask the old questions again. Are we alone? Do patterns in the sky mean more than we think? And most importantly, what does it mean that all of this is happening now? The hook in this story is simple but powerful. Never in living memory have we seen the sky behave this way. And the fact that we're seeing it now in an era where telescopes capture every flicker of light, where satellites watch every inch of space, only makes it more unsettling. Nothing slips by unnoticed anymore. And yet here is a convergence so striking that it almost feels like it was designed to be noticed. The swarm of comets would have drawn attention on its own. The interstellar intruder would have drawn attention on its own. But together, that's when the mystery starts to feel like a message. And that's why people can't stop talking about it. Forums are filled with theories. News outlets can't resist headlines that hint at the uncanny. Social media explodes with footage of comet tails glowing against city skylines, while conspiracy theorists spin stories about hidden alignments, secret meanings, or even alien intent. Meanwhile, scientists try to hold the line, offering explanations rooted in gravity and probability, while privately admitting that the timing is downright strange. Because the truth is, science doesn't always erase mystery. Sometimes it only makes it sharper, and in this case, the sheer unlikelihood of what we're witnessing only deepens the intrigue. But here's the thing, this is just the beginning. We're only scratching the surface of the story unfolding in the skies. Each comet has its own tale. The interstellar visitor carries secrets we're only beginning to decode, and together they create a narrative that blurs the line between coincidence and something larger, something that challenges our sense of control. The hook that pulls you into this story isn't just the comets or the interstellar object. It's the question they force us to confront. Is this all just random chance? Or are we being shown something we were never meant to ignore? The more you think about it, the harder it becomes to dismiss. Because coincidences happen, yes, but not like this. Not with this weight. Not with this spectacle. If the sky is a stage, then 2025 is the year the curtains pulled back and the performance began, and we are all, whether we realize it or not, part of the audience. The question is, are we witnessing an accident of timing, or are we being invited to notice a story bigger than ourselves? That's the mystery of the swarm, and that's the reason the year 2025 has already gone down as one of the strangest in the history of the heaven. When astronomers first began to realize what was happening in the sky in 2025, the word that kept surfacing was coincidence, but almost no one said it with confidence, because coincidence implies something casual, something unremarkable, a matter of timing that doesn't demand attention. Yet what unfolded above us this year is anything but casual. 7 comets arriving within months of each other, their paths crisscrossing the heavens in dazzling displays, would have been enough to leave experts scratching their heads. But when the interstellar object Three-Eyed Atlas suddenly appeared in the midst of that same swarm, the idea of mere coincidence started to collapse under the weight of improbability. To call it chance felt like trying to dismiss an earthquake as someone dropping a heavy book on the floor. Technically possible, but deeply unsatisfying. Think of it this way. Comets are not common guests in our skies. Centuries can pass with humanity seeing only a handful of memorable ones. Their orbits are enormous, often spanning thousands or even millions of years, and their returns are irregular at best. The idea that 7 separate comets, each born from distant regions of our solar system, would decide to make an appearance all within the same narrow window of time is already pushing the boundaries of probability. It's like rolling a die and hitting the same number 7 times in a row. Yes, in theory it can happen, but when it does, people don't shrug and move on. They ask questions. They wonder if the die is loaded. And in this case, the die doesn't just look loaded. It looks like it's being rolled by someone we can't see. And then comes Three-Eyed Atlas, the alien in the mix, arriving from interstellar space as if it was timed to perfection. It doesn't follow the same rules as the others. It doesn't belong to our solar family. Yet here it is, sailing into the system at the exact moment our skies are already bursting with cometary activity. You can almost feel the discomfort in the scientific community as they try to explain it away with probabilities, with cosmic randomness, with the cold mathematics of orbital mechanics. But beneath the surface, even the experts know this isn't something you can easily write off. The timing is too sharp, the convergence too strange. It's the kind of alignment that makes people wonder if there's an unseen hand at work, some force or law we haven't yet discovered pulling the strings behind the curtain. Throughout human history, Rare coincidences have often been reinterpreted as signs. Ancient cultures saw comets as harbingers of disaster or transformation, because when strange things happen in the sky, strange things often happen on Earth. And while modern science distances itself from such interpretations, the echoes of that thinking remain, because even today we're wired to notice when patterns line up. We're wired to feel uneasy when the improbable happens in clusters, and that's exactly what 2025 has given us. A cluster of impossibilities, wrapped together in a package so neat it feels scripted. Call it coincidence, but it's the kind of coincidence that doesn't let you sleep easily at night. Some skeptics will point out that the universe is vast, and given enough time, improbable things are bound to happen. They'll say that we're only paying attention now because it happened on our watch. They'll remind us of the statistical inevitability of rare events, that sooner or later the dice roll just right. But the counter-argument is simple. The scale of improbability here is so massive that it challenges even those explanations. The fact that the comets are all visible in the same year, that their orbits align just so, and that an interstellar visitor happens to arrive at the exact same moment, stacks improbability upon improbability until coincidence no longer feels like a satisfying answer. At some point, the sheer weight of it demands a deeper look. Imagine if 7 lottery winners all lived on the same street, and in the same week, a long-lost relative showed up from another country to join the celebration. Would you really call that coincidence, or would you wonder if something was happening behind the scenes? Something orchestrated or manipulated? That's how astronomers are beginning to view 2025, not as a simple fluke, but as a mystery demanding explanation. And while the official language remains cautious, the whispers among researchers reveal their unease, because science thrives on finding patterns, and here the patterns are impossible to ignore. What makes the whole situation even more unsettling is the context in which it's unfolding. 2025 is also the peak of solar maximum, the most active phase of the sun's cycle. Solar flares, magnetic storms, and bursts of energy are more frequent and more intense now than in quieter years. That means the comets blazing through the sky look brighter, more volatile, more dramatic. Their tails stretch farther, their comas flare hotter, their appearances linger longer. It makes the swarm feel like an orchestrated show, with the sun itself providing the special effects. And in the middle of this chaos, the interstellar visitor seems almost staged, arriving just when the cosmic theatre is at its loudest. It's not just coincidence anymore, it's spectacle. The implications ripple outward. If this is all truly coincidence, then it's one of the most improbable alignments in modern astronomical history. If it's not coincidence, then something else is at work, and that something could range from the gravitational influence of unseen celestial bodies to phenomena we don't yet have the tools to understand. Either way, it forces us to confront uncomfortable questions. Are we underestimating the forces at play in our solar system? Are there hidden dynamics shaping events on scales we haven't yet grasped? Or, as some dare to whisper, is this the result of something intentional, a signal woven into the fabric of the cosmos itself? What makes this idea so captivating isn't just the science, it's the human reaction. People want meaning in their mysteries. They want to believe that extraordinary events carry extraordinary significance. And when 7 comets and an interstellar stranger align in the same year, meaning becomes irresistible. It's not enough to say, well, that's random. Our minds push back against that. They search for patterns, for explanations, for narratives that make the chaos feel purposeful. And in this case, the narrative that emerges is one of wonder, unease, and the creeping suspicion that maybe, just maybe, we're missing something important. So here we are, caught between probability and possibility. On one side, the reassuring voice of science reminding us that the universe is full of chance encounters and improbable alignments. On the other, the nagging intuition that coincidences like this don't just happen, not at this scale, not with this timing. The truth may lie somewhere in between, or it may be waiting in discoveries yet to come. But one thing is certain. The year 2025 has given us an astronomical riddle that refuses to be ignored, and the impossible coincidence of 7 comets and 1 interstellar visitor may go down as one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the history of the sky. Every great story has its cast of characters, and the saga unfolding in the sky during 2025 is no different. To think of these comets as identical streaks of light would be to miss the richness of their individuality. Each one carries its own origin, its own trajectory, its own peculiarities that make it distinct from the others. When astronomers speak about them, they don't just lump them into one category. They treat them as individuals, because in many ways they're frozen archives of the early solar system. Time capsules holding the chemical secrets of an era before planets even existed, and now, for reasons no one can adequately explain, 7 of them have chosen to step onto the stage together, flaring across our skies as if rehearsed for a show. To truly grasp the magnitude of this phenomenon, we need to meet them one by one and understand what makes each of them part of this improbable gathering. The first to make its presence known was the one astronomers dubbed the Herald, not because of any official designation, but because of the way it seemed to announce the beginning of the swarm. It appeared faint at first, just a whisper of a streak in the telescope lenses, but as it approached the sun, it blossomed into a luminous arc. This comet was unusual for the sheer breadth of its tail, spreading across vast distances, painting the night like a cosmic brushstroke. Observers noted that it behaved almost like an overture, setting the tone for what was to follow. The sight of it sparked excitement, but also curiosity. Why now? Why this year? And just as people began to marvel at its glow, another comet followed. The second one was dubbed the Wanderer, because its path seemed strangely irregular compared to the others. While comets are known for their predictable orbits, this one displayed small but noticeable deviations. Some scientists suggested it was fragmenting, shedding pieces as it tumbled closer to the sun, which explained its erratic movements. But others wondered if something else was interfering with its trajectory, perhaps gravitational nudges that we had not accounted for. The Wanderer's unpredictability fascinated stargazers and unnerved experts at the same time. It felt like a character that refused to play by the rules, a rogue element in a drama already brimming with intrigue. Then came the third, which earned the nickname the Mirror. Unlike the others, this comet reflected sunlight with extraordinary intensity, almost unnaturally bright for its size. Its reflective properties puzzled researchers. Some suggested its surface was unusually fresh, coated with pristine ice that hadn't yet been darkened by space dust. Others speculated about its chemical makeup, hinting at exotic compounds that gave it an otherworldly sheen. The mirror's brilliance captivated the public, who shared endless photographs of it across social media, calling it the diamond in the sky. Its light became a centerpiece of the swarm, a dazzling beacon that stood out even among its glowing peers. The fourth was darker, more brooding, and quickly became known as the Phantom. Unlike the mirror, the Phantom absorbed light rather than reflecting it, making it harder to see despite being relatively large. Observers described it as eerie, visible only when it was positioned just right against the backdrop of stars, like a shadow cutting across the heavens. Its darkness stirred imaginations, inspiring whispers of hidden meanings and ominous interpretations. Scientists, meanwhile, puzzled over its unusually low albedo, the measure of reflectivity. Why was it so dark compared to its companions? What secrets was it hiding beneath its shroud? The Phantom felt like the most enigmatic of the group, a character lurking at the edge of the stage, hinting at deeper mysteries yet to be revealed. The fifth comet brought drama of its own, known among astronomers as the Twin. This wasn't one comet, but two, fragments that seemed to share an origin. They travelled close together, their tails overlapping, creating the illusion of a single body splitting apart in mid-flight. Fragmenting comets aren't rare, but the timing of this twin appearance within the swarm added another layer of improbability. Watching the twin move together through the sky was mesmerizing. Two luminous streaks, side by side, mirroring each other's paths. To the public, it felt symbolic, almost like a cosmic metaphor for companionship or duality. To scientists, it was another question mark in a year already full of them. Why did these two break apart now, and why in concert with the others? The sixth, nicknamed the Torch, earned its place for sheer spectacle. It flared brighter than all the rest, so luminous it became visible even in areas polluted by city lights. For many people, the Torch was the only comet they saw with the naked eye, and its brilliance made it a cultural phenomenon. News channels broadcast footage of it nightly. Families went outside to witness it together, and artists captured its fiery trail in paintings and photographs. The Torch didn't just belong to astronomers, it belonged to everyone, a universal event that tied millions of people together under the same glowing sky. And in its fiery presence, many saw meaning, a symbol of hope, of warning, of the unknown. Finally came the seventh, the Straggler. This one lagged behind the others, arriving late to the swarm, almost as if hesitant to join the show. Its timing was peculiar. After the spectacle of the torch, many assumed the drama had peaked, but then the straggler appeared, faint at first, then gradually more defined, as though it had been waiting for its moment. To some it felt like the final act of a play, a subtle reminder that the story wasn't over. To scientists it was yet another oddity. Why did this one lag while the others seemed to cluster so tightly? Why was its orbital timing so off compared to its peers? The straggler didn't just close the lineup. It left audiences with the sense that something was incomplete, unresolved, a mystery still dangling. Taken together, these 7 comets don't just form a statistical anomaly, they create a narrative, each with its own personality, its own quirks, its own role in the unfolding drama of 20. The herald announced the beginning, the wanderer stirred uncertainty, the mirror dazzled with brilliance, the phantom shrouded itself in darkness, the twin revealed fragmentation and unity, the torch lit the skies for the masses, and the straggler reminded us that nothing ends neatly. It's as if the cosmos itself chose to write a story in 7 parts, played out not on a page, but across the canvas of the heavens. And threading through them all, watching silently from beyond, is the outsider, Three-Eye Atlas, the interstellar traveller. While the 7 comets may feel like siblings, born from the same family of icy reservoirs in the solar system's distant reaches, Atlas is something else entirely. It doesn't share their origins. It doesn't share their destiny. And yet here it is, arriving at the exact moment the family reunion is happening, like a stranger stepping into a room full of relatives and instantly becoming part of the drama. Its presence reframes everything, turning a statistical oddity into a cosmic mystery, a coincidence into a riddle. And as people study the 7 comets in detail, their eyes keep drifting back to Atlas, the character who doesn't belong, but whose role may be the most important of all. The cast of characters in this celestial play isn't just 7 comets and a single visitor, it's humanity itself, staring upward and grappling with what it all means. Because we catalog them, name them, photograph them, and still the story doesn't feel complete. The deeper truth may not lie in the comets themselves, but in the way they've arrived together, the way they've demanded our attention, the way they've forced us to wonder. And in that sense, each comet isn't just a character in a scientific drama, they're catalysts in a story that challenges everything we think we know about coincidence, probability, and the mysterious timing of the universe. When people talk about the comet swarm of 2025, they often describe it in scientific terms, using phrases like orbital clustering or statistical anomaly. But those words don't capture the raw experience of what it feels like to look up and see multiple comets crossing the sky at once. The reality is so much more visceral. Imagine stepping outside at night, the air still and cool, and as your eyes adjust to the darkness, you notice not 1, not 2, but several glowing trails slicing through the heavens. Each one has its own brilliance, its own arc, its own texture against the black canvas of space. Some shimmer faintly like whispers of light, while others blaze brightly, commanding attention even in places where city lights normally drown out the stars. Together they create a spectacle unlike anything most humans alive have ever seen. This is the swarm effect, the transformation of the night sky into a stage so crowded with performers that it feels impossible to look away. To understand why this is so extraordinary, it's important to remember how rare comets are in our daily lives. Most people will go their entire lives seeing maybe one memorable comet, if they're lucky. Even the famous Halley's Comet only visits once every 76 years, meaning entire generations pass without ever witnessing its return. Yet here, in a single year, 7 comets have converged, overlapping their appearances so that night after night, the sky offers a new variation of the same dazzling show. For astronomers, this is a data-rich treasure chest. For the public, it's something else entirely, a once-in-a-lifetime experience that reawakens the ancient awe of skywatching, when humans measured their lives by the stars, and the rarest events were believed to carry profound meaning. The swarm effect doesn't just lie in the number of comets, but in the way they interact visually. Their tails stretch in different directions, some long and elegant, others short and fiery, weaving across one another like brushstrokes in a cosmic painting. At certain moments 2 or more appear in the same patch of sky, their luminous trails crossing, creating patterns that look almost intentional, as if the universe were arranging them for our eyes alone. This is not the solitary fleeting glimpse of a lone comet that generations past had to cherish. This is an overwhelming abundance, a feast for the eyes, where every glance upward reveals something new. The sky becomes alive in a way that makes even seasoned astronomers stop and marvel, not as scientists but as human beings staring into the unknown. The effect also has a psychological dimension. When one comet appears, people notice, but life continues largely as normal. But when several appear together, dominating headlines, flooding social media, and filling the skies for weeks on end, something shifts in the collective imagination. People begin to feel like they're living through a special moment in history, one that future generations will read about. The swarm effect creates a sense of shared experience, a unifying spectacle that transcends borders, cultures, and languages. It becomes not just an astronomical event, but a cultural one, woven into stories, art, and conversation. Children are told to go outside and look. Artists capture it in their work. Writers scramble to describe it, and somewhere in the background a quiet unease lingers, because the more people see, the more they wonder, why now? For scientists, the swarm effect has another meaning. It challenges their understanding of how comets operate on large scales. Typically, comets follow solitary paths, their orbits shaped long ago by distant gravitational nudges. For so many to appear in such a narrow window suggests a trigger, some underlying force that synchronized their journeys. Was there a collision in the outer solar system that sent fragments inward all at once? Was there an unseen gravitational influence, perhaps from Jupiter or even a hypothetical planet on the solar system's edge, that disturbed them in unison? Or is this simply the improbable clustering of random paths that just happen to align in? Each possibility is studied, debated, tested against the data. Yet even the most rigorous scientific analysis cannot fully erase the uncanny feeling that comes with seeing so many glowing messengers gathered together. The swarm effect also amplifies the drama of the interstellar visitor. On its own, Three-Eyed Atlas would have been headline news, a rare object from beyond our solar system, a chance to study alien material without leaving home. But surrounded by a chorus of local comets, its presence feels even more significant. It is the outsider among insiders, the foreigner among siblings, and its timing turns a remarkable event into a baffling mystery. People don't just see a swarm of comets. They see a cosmic meeting, a gathering of wanderers that shouldn't exist, with a stranger at the center. The swarm effect makes Atlas feel like part of a larger narrative, whether it truly is or not, and that perception shapes how people interpret the year's events. And interpretation is where the swarm effect extends far beyond science. Online forums overflow with speculation, theories ranging from hidden gravitational forces to secret alien communication. Some people see the swarm as a sign of change, a herald of upheaval in human affairs, just as ancient civilizations once did. Others see it as a warning, a reminder of the fragility of life on a planet vulnerable to cosmic impacts. Still others view it as a blessing, a rare gift of beauty in a world often clouded with turmoil. Whatever the interpretation, the swarm doesn't allow indifference. It demands engagement, forcing people to look up, to think, to feel something larger than themselves, and that is part of its power. The swarm effect turns passive observers into participants in a story that feels bigger than any one individual. There is also the haunting knowledge that swarms like this don't last. The comets will pass, their orbits carrying them back into the frozen outskirts of the solar system, or perhaps burning them out entirely. The interstellar visitor will slip away forever, never to return. The swarm is temporary, fleeting, a brief chapter in the billions of years of cosmic history. That transience adds to its impact. People know they are witnessing something that will never be repeated in their lifetimes, and that knowledge sharpens the experience. The swarm effect isn't just about abundance, it's about impermanence, the way beauty burns brightest when it is destined to vanish. As the weeks pass, the comets rise and fade, but the impression they leave lingers. The sky feels emptier without them, the return to normal almost disappointing. People who once never looked up now find themselves searching for streaks of light that are no longer there. The swarm effect doesn't just change the sky, it changes people, reshaping their relationship with the universe, reminding them that even in an age of technology and data, the cosmos can still surprise us, overwhelm us, and make us question the limits of coincidence. And perhaps that is the greatest legacy of the swarm, not just the comets themselves, but the way they force humanity to confront the possibility that the universe is more mysterious, more interconnected, and more alive with meaning than we've dared to admit. If you've spent your whole life believing that the night sky is calm, predictable, and orderly, The events of 2025 would shake that assumption to its core. The truth is, the cosmos usually doesn't hand us this much drama. A single comet, bright enough to see with the naked eye, can dominate news cycles for weeks, precisely because it's such a rare visitor. Most years go by without even one comet dazzling the casual observer. Professional astronomers may quietly log faint comets through their telescopes, but for the average person, the skies remain unchanged. That's why this year is different. 7 comets, flaring in rapid succession, alongside an interstellar object cutting across our system, isn't just unusual, it's abnormal. It's unprecedented. And no matter how much experts reach for the language of probability and chance, something about it simply doesn't add up. To understand why, we have to consider what a typical year in astronomy looks like. Out of hundreds of millions of objects drifting at the edge of the solar system, only a few are ever disturbed enough to plunge inward toward the sun. Of those, even fewer grow bright enough to catch the public's eye. Astronomical records stretching back centuries reveal just how infrequent these events are. Halley's Comet, the most famous of all, appears only once every 76 years. Hale-Bopp, which stunned observers in the 1990s, was the brightest in decades. Shoemaker-Levy 9, which slammed into Jupiter in 1994, was an anomaly of destruction. These events stand out precisely because they're not normal, and yet 2025 has decided to cram multiple such anomalies into one breathtaking, bewildering year. What makes this even more startling is the way the comets have overlapped. It's not as though 7 faint objects trickled in over 12 months. No, they've arrived in quick succession, one after another, their tails crisscrossing the heavens like an orchestra of light. The swarm effect, as people call it, is staggering in itself. But what deepens the mystery is the addition of the interstellar visitor, 3i Atlas. Unlike the others, it doesn't belong here. Its orbit doesn't loop back to the sun. Its chemistry isn't familiar. Its origin lies in another star system altogether. To have a foreign object intruding at the same time a cluster of local comets appears is not just improbable, it's nearly impossible. It's the kind of thing you'd expect to see written into a novel or a film, not playing out in real life. This is why astronomers, even as they caution against sensationalism, admit that what's happening now doesn't align with their expectations. Normally, they can explain away most oddities with gravity, orbital mechanics, or long-term cycles. But here, the explanations feel stretched thin. Jupiter may have disturbed some orbits, yes. Gravitational nudges from the outer planets could align a few comet paths, certainly. But 7 at once, with a timing this precise, it strains credulity. And then there's the solar maximum, the sun entering its most active phase, spewing radiation, winds, and magnetic storms that make the comets brighter and more volatile. The coincidence of solar chaos with comet chaos makes the whole picture even stranger, as though the cosmos chose this exact moment to unleash a symphony of upheaval. The truth is, this isn't normal, because we know what normal looks like. A lone comet lighting up the night sky every few years is normal. A handful of faint ones, invisible to the naked eye, drifting in and out of telescopic view, is normal. What's happening now is off the charts, an outlier so sharp it refuses to be ignored. And in science, outliers are important. They're the anomalies that don't fit the model, the cracks that reveal deeper truths about how the universe works. That's why, behind the cautious public statements, astronomers are both thrilled and unsettled. They know this isn't business as usual. They know this is the kind of event that forces textbooks to be rewritten, and yet beyond the scientific intrigue, there's the human reaction. Ordinary people feel it in their bones that something about this isn't right. They sense the weight of history when they look up at the night sky and see multiple glowing trails where normally there would be none. Social media fills with comments about omens, signs, and cosmic warnings. It doesn't matter how rational we think we are. When the sky itself shifts so dramatically, our instincts tell us to pay attention. The unease comes not from ignorance, but from awareness that this kind of abundance isn't supposed to happen, and that when it does, it might mean something bigger than we can explain. The abnormality becomes even clearer when you look at the scale of probability. Astronomers estimate the odds of 7 naked-eye comets in 1 year as vanishingly small, a statistical fluke of epic proportions. Adding an interstellar visitor into the mix pushes those odds into territory so extreme it borders on absurd. It's like tossing a coin and having it land on its edge. Not once, but again and again. You can claim it's possible, but the more it happens, the less you believe it's chance. The numbers tell one story, but the intuition tells another. This isn't normal, and pretending it is feels like denial. What if we're standing on the edge of a discovery we don't yet have the tools to understand? What if the abnormality is pointing us toward forces we've overlooked? Already there are whispers of hidden gravitational players, perhaps a massive undiscovered planet in the far reaches of the solar system, the so-called Planet 9, whose pull might be aligning these comet orbits. Others suggest passing gravitational waves rippling distortions in space-time itself, could be influencing trajectories in ways we don't fully comprehend. And then there are those who lean into speculation, wondering aloud if some intelligence, natural or otherwise, has chosen this moment to draw our attention skyward. All of these ideas, from the scientific to the speculative, share a common thread: the recognition that what we're witnessing defies our sense of normal. The weight of history adds another layer. Every time comets have swarmed or brightened unusually in the past, humanity has interpreted them as harbingers of change. The fall of empires, the rise of leaders, plagues, wars and transformations were all linked, rightly or wrongly, to the sudden intrusion of comets into the sky. Even if science strips away superstition, the cultural memory remains. We cannot erase the centuries of stories that taught us to fear and revere comets as messengers. And when 7 appear at once, joined by a visitor from another star, those old instincts resurface. Rational or not, we feel the echo of our ancestors whispering, "This means something." That, ultimately, is why this isn't normal. Not because comets can't appear, not because the sun can't flare, not because interstellar objects can't arrive. All of those things can happen, but for them to happen together, in this way, in this narrow slice of time, is a breach of normalcy so profound it demands attention. It forces us to look at the universe not as a machine grinding out predictable outcomes, but as a stage capable of surprise, capable of poetry, capable of shaking us out of complacency. And that is why 2025 will be remembered, not just as a year of comets, but as the year we were reminded that the sky itself can change, that what we think of as normal is only an illusion, and that sometimes the universe itself refuses to play by the rules. Human beings are creatures of pattern. From the moment our ancestors first looked at the night sky, they began connecting the dots, drawing lines between the stars, creating constellations out of scattered pinpricks of light. Orion wasn't just a handful of stars, it was a hunt. Ursa Major wasn't random, it was a bear. The same instinct plays out in every part of life. We see faces in clouds, animals in rock formations, and meaning in coincidence. This tendency has been a powerful survival tool, helping us spot predators in the brush, anticipate changes in seasons, and prepare for dangers before they arrive. But it also means we're predisposed to see order where there may be none. The swarm of comets, and the interstellar visitor of 2025, sits at the crossroads of this instinct. On one hand, the rational mind says it's all chance. On the other, the deep human impulse whispers, "This looks too deliberate to be random." The question becomes unavoidable. Are we simply seeing patterns that don't exist, or is there a purpose hidden in this extraordinary convergence? Astronomers themselves wrestle with this tension. They are trained to resist the pull of narrative, to strip away meaning until only numbers remain. Yet, faced with 7 comets and an interstellar object arriving in unison, even the most disciplined minds feel the weight of improbability. Orbital mechanics explain many things, but probability is merciless. The odds of this alignment are so tiny that dismissing it as pure randomness leaves many uneasy. Some quietly suggest we may be seeing the results of processes we don't yet understand. Could there be gravitational rhythms in the solar system we haven't mapped? Could distant massive bodies beyond the known planets be orchestrating this clustering? Or are we dealing with something even stranger, a phenomenon that forces us to rethink how cosmic events unfold? What unsettles people most is the way the timing feels almost theatrical. If these comets had appeared spread out over decades, no one would blink. If the interstellar visitor had arrived in a quiet year, it would be celebrated as a rare but isolated event. Instead, everything converged in 2025 during solar maximum, when the sun's storms made the comets brighter and more dramatic. It's as if the stage lights were dimmed just right, the actors entered on cue, and the play began. That theatricality is what fuels speculation. The human mind, always reaching for story, asks, who or what is the playwright? Is the universe itself capable of arranging patterns that look like messages? Or are we projecting meaning onto chaos, desperate for significance in the randomness? This tension between pattern and purpose isn't new. History is full of moments where celestial events seem too neatly aligned to be chance. The fall of Rome coincided with comet sightings, and chroniclers insisted they were omens. The Norman conquest of England was accompanied by Halley's comet blazing across the sky, interpreted as a sign of inevitable change. In ancient China, comets were logged with meticulous care because emperors believed their appearance foretold shifts in power. Again and again, people saw purpose in the patterns above. Modern science has since reframed these events as coincidence, but the stories remain. And when we look up at the sky in 2025, watching comet tails overlap while an alien traveler cuts through the solar system, those ancient instincts flare again. It feels like a message, even if we can't decipher what it's trying to say. Scientists, for their part, search for natural explanations. Some focus on the possibility of resonance, where objects in the solar system fall into rhythm with one another, their orbits subtly influenced by giant planets like Jupiter. Resonance has been observed before. It's why certain asteroid groups cluster or why moons orbit in synchronized patterns. Could something similar be happening with these comets, nudging them inward all at once? Others argue that distant interactions with the Oort cloud, the vast icy reservoir surrounding our system, may have released a cluster of comets simultaneously, sending them cascading toward the sun. Both explanations are plausible, but neither fully accounts for the presence of an interstellar intruder arriving at the exact same time. That is where science hits a wall, and where human imagination takes over. Because if not chance, then what? Could this be a signal? The idea might sound like science fiction, but it persists because it taps into something deep in us. If you wanted to communicate across civilizations, how would you do it? You wouldn't rely on fragile radio signals, lost in the noise of the cosmos. You'd use the universal language, the sky itself. Every culture, every species with eyes, looks up. A carefully timed arrangement of comets and a visiting interstellar object would be impossible to miss. Of course, there's no evidence that intelligence lies behind this convergence, but the timing is suggestive enough that people can't help but wonder. When improbable patterns emerge, our instinct is to ask not just how, but what. There's also the possibility that the purpose isn't external, but internal. The universe doesn't need to be sending us a message for the event to carry meaning. Sometimes purpose comes from the way we interpret things, the way an experience transforms us. The swarm of comets and the interstellar visitor force humanity to look up, to think about its place in the cosmos, to recognize how fragile and fleeting our normal sense of order can be. In that sense, the pattern has purpose, not because someone designed it, but because we give it significance. The story it tells may not be cosmic, but human. It reminds us that the universe is larger, stranger, and less predictable than we like to believe. And yet dismissing the possibility of deeper purpose too quickly feels premature. After all, science advances not by ignoring anomalies, but by investigating them. The discovery of Neptune came from noticing strange deviations in Uranus's orbit, patterns that didn't fit the expected model. The revelation of dark matter arose from galaxies spinning in ways gravity alone couldn't explain. Time and again, patterns once thought to be coincidences revealed new truths about the universe. Could the swarm of 2025 be another such anomaly, pointing us toward forces or structures we haven't yet uncovered? If so, then calling it mere coincidence isn't skepticism, it's complacency. What truly haunts us is the possibility that purpose and pattern might blur together. Perhaps there is no guiding intelligence, but there is a hidden rhythm in the universe, a kind of cosmic heartbeat we've only just begun to notice. Perhaps comets cluster and interstellar travelers arrive in ways that follow laws we don't yet comprehend. That would mean there is purpose, but not in the way we imagine, not designed, but embedded in the structure of reality itself. If that's the case, then 2025 is more than a spectacle. It's a clue, a hint that the universe is more organized, more alive with hidden patterns than our current models allow. As people watch the skies this year, some see randomness, some see story, and some see both. But what unites everyone is the sense that this isn't ordinary. The swarm of comets and the interstellar visitor demand interpretation. They force us to confront our instinct for pattern, our hunger for purpose, and our fear that we might be missing something important. Whether the answer lies in unseen gravitational forces, in the chaos of probability, or in something we haven't dared to imagine, one fact remains: the universe has shown us a pattern we cannot ignore, and until we understand it, the question will linger, pulling at the edges of our certainty. Was this just chance, or was there purpose in the sky all along? When the conversation shifts from the spectacle of the comet swarm to the mechanics behind it, one phrase begins to dominate: the forces at play. For while it is tempting to imagine the comets moving like dancers in some choreographed performance, the truth is they are governed by invisible hands: gravity, radiation, solar winds, and perhaps other forces we do not yet fully understand. To make sense of why 7 comets and an interstellar visitor could converge in the same year, scientists turn first to these forces, hoping that within them lies an explanation less mysterious and more mathematical. Yet as they dig deeper, even the known forces begin to feel inadequate, as if the puzzle they're trying to solve has pieces missing. Gravity is, of course, the first suspect. It is the great sculptor of cosmic motion, the unseen glue that binds planets in orbit, that tugs comets from the frozen reaches of the Oort cloud and flings them inward toward the sun. Jupiter, the solar system's massive giant, is often the culprit in these stories. With a gravitational pull so immense it dwarfs every other planet combined, Jupiter can nudge comets off their stable paths, altering their orbits dramatically. Astronomers have long suspected that Jupiter acts as both guardian and executioner, pulling some comets into safe orbits while slingshotting others toward destruction. It is entirely plausible, then, that Jupiter has a hand in what we are witnessing now. Perhaps, they say, the giant planet set off a chain reaction decades or centuries ago, sending multiple comets on intersecting paths that just happened to arrive in 20. But even this explanation stumbles, because while Jupiter is powerful, it is not precise. It cannot explain why so many comets would cluster in a single year, nor why an interstellar traveler would arrive at the same moment. Then there is the Sun itself. Our star is far from a passive observer. Its gravity commands the orbits of all, but its heat and radiation also transform comets in dramatic ways. As these icy bodies fall inward, the sun's warmth causes them to vent gas and dust, creating their glowing tails. The solar wind, a constant stream of charged particles, bends those tails away from the sun, shaping their luminous arcs. And during solar maximum, the period of heightened activity we are living through in 2025, the sun's influence is even more volatile. Coronal mass ejections, solar flares, and intensified radiation can destabilize cometary surfaces, making them fragment, flare, or brighten unpredictably. Some scientists suggest that the solar maximum may not only be making these comets appear more spectacular, but could even be partially responsible for the timing of their arrival, destabilizing them earlier than expected. Still, the sun's cycle is regular, repeating every 11 years. Why should this cycle, so well known and so predictable, suddenly align with an unprecedented comet swarm and an interstellar visitor? Others look outward, beyond the visible planets, to the dark and mysterious frontier of the solar system. The Oort cloud, a vast shell of icy debris surrounding us like a ghostly halo, is the birthplace of most long-period comets. Disturbances there, perhaps from a passing star, a ripple of galactic tide, or even a massive unseen planet, could theoretically send a wave of comets inward all at once. This idea has fueled renewed speculation about Planet 9, the hypothetical world lurking in the distant reaches, whose gravity could explain the strange clustering of certain objects. If such a planet exists, could it also be the hidden hand behind the swarm of? Could its pull over eons have orchestrated this convergence? The theory is tantalizing, but unproven. No telescope has yet confirmed Planet 9, and until it is found, it remains speculation, an invisible player that might exist or might not. And then there are the possibilities that push the boundaries of conventional thought. Some physicists propose that passing gravitational waves, ripples in the very fabric of space-time, might subtly alter the orbits of comets. These waves, generated by cataclysmic events like black hole collisions, move across the universe at the speed of light, invisible but real. Could one such wave have washed through our solar system, nudging several comets inward simultaneously? The mathematics of this are still debated, and no evidence directly links gravitational waves to cometary behavior. Yet the possibility lingers, especially in a year when the improbable is playing out before our eyes. For some, these forces alone still feel insufficient. They point to the uncanny timing, to the interstellar visitor arriving like a foreign dignitary at a local festival, and wonder if something more intentional might be happening. Not intentional in the sense of alien engineers pulling cosmic strings, but intentional in the sense that the universe itself may have deeper rhythms, hidden cycles we have not yet mapped. Just as tides on Earth once seemed mysterious until we recognized the pull of the moon, perhaps the cosmos has tides of its own, sweeping across space, drawing comets and wanderers together at intervals too vast for us to yet recognize. If that is the case, then what we are witnessing now is not a random accident, but the emergence of a hidden order, a pattern woven into the architecture of reality. Even so, the mystery of the interstellar object complicates every explanation. 3i Atlas does not belong to the solar system, and thus is not bound by its cycles. Its arrival in the middle of the swarm cannot be easily attributed to Jupiter, the Sun, the Oort cloud, or Planet 9. Its trajectory is straight and alien, a path carved through our system by chance or by forces we do not yet comprehend. That is why many astronomers confess that while local explanations might account for the 7 comets, none can account for the presence of the outsider. And that gap, that missing explanation, is what keeps the speculation alive. It is what transforms a fascinating anomaly into a haunting mystery. For the public, the talk of forces at play often takes on a more symbolic meaning. Gravity becomes the metaphorical hand of fate. Solar storms the moods of a restless star. Distant planets the puppeteers pulling invisible string. The language of physics blends with the language of story, and the scientific becomes mythic. People want to believe that the swarm and the interstellar visitor mean something, and in a sense they do, because even if there is no guiding intelligence, the forces at play remind us that we live in a universe alive with motion, shaped by powers beyond our control, capable of stunning us with spectacles that feel deliberate, even when they are not. What makes this year unforgettable is not just the beauty of the comets or the mystery of the interstellar traveler, but the realization that the forces we thought we understood may still surprise us. Gravity, radiation, solar winds, galactic tides, these are not static, predictable machines, but dynamic, living processes that can converge in ways we never anticipated. The forces at play in 2025 reveal not only the fragility of our assumptions, but the depth of our ignorance. They remind us that the universe is vast, that its rules may be stranger than we think, and that sometimes the sky itself conspires to remind us that we are not in control. And so we stand here beneath a sky filled with luminous trails, asking questions that feel as old as humanity itself. What power brought them here? What hidden hands are shaping this moment? Is it randomness or rhythm, coincidence or design? The forces at play remain invisible, but their effects are undeniable, written across the heavens in fire and ice. And until we find the answers, we are left with awe, unease, and the sense that the universe is speaking in a language we have only just begun to learn. Among the many wonders that 2025 has given us in the skies, one stands apart. The comets that blaze above our heads may be dazzling, but they are still family. They are born of this solar system, icy remnants from the Oort cloud, or the Kuiper belt, ancient leftovers from the birth of our sun. Their chemistry is familiar, their stories already woven into the fabric of our cosmic neighborhood. But 3i Atlas is different. It is not a child of this system, not a sibling to our planets or comets. It is a stranger, a trespasser from far beyond, crossing our path once and never again. To call it alien is not exaggeration. It truly is. Every atom of its being was forged around another star, in another world we may never see, and the fact that it arrived during the year of the swarm makes its presence feel more than unusual. It feels uncanny, as though the stranger appeared right in the middle of a gathering, not by accident, but by design. When astronomers first tracked its orbit, they knew immediately that it wasn't bound to our sun. Its trajectory cut across the system at an angle too steep, too fast, to ever be captured. It was on a one-way trip, swinging close enough for us to glimpse before vanishing back into the infinite dark. The sheer speed of it confirmed the truth. This object had travelled untold light-years through interstellar space before arriving here. For billions of years, it had wandered aimlessly, untouched by stars, unseen by any world, and now, by the slimmest chance, it was here, in our skies, in our time. The discovery electrified the scientific community, because every interstellar object is a gift a sample of another star system delivered to our doorstep. They are rarer than rare. Before 2017, humanity had never even confirmed one. Then came Oumuamua, then Borisov, and now in this year of impossible coincidences, 3II Atlas. To have 3 such visitors within a human lifetime is astonishing. To have one arrive during the greatest comet swarm in memory feels almost scripted. The name Atlas may sound clinical, the product of astronomical naming conventions, but it is hard not to feel the weight of myth in it. In Greek legend, Atlas was the titan who held up the sky, a figure burdened with the weight of the heavens themselves. There is something fitting in that association, because this interstellar object carries on its surface the chemistry of another world, the burden of alien origins. Spectral analysis revealed compounds unlike those we are accustomed to seeing in local comets, subtle differences in isotopes, unusual ratios of volatile gases, dust grains that hint at a star system with a very different history from our own. It is, in a very literal sense, a messenger, not because anyone sent it, but because it speaks to us in the language of its chemistry, carrying within it the record of a distant sun, a long-forgotten birthplace light years away. What unsettles many is its timing. If 3I Atlas had passed through in a quiet year, it would still have been remarkable, but it would have been just one story among many in the scientific world. But arriving now as 7 comets dance across the sky, it cannot help but feel like part of a larger drama. The mind resists the explanation of coincidence. It feels too clean, too theatrical. An interstellar visitor showing up at the very moment the heavens are already alight. It is like a stranger walking into a crowded room, just as the party reaches its crescendo. The timing makes it impossible to dismiss, and so whispers of purpose emerge, not just in the public imagination, but in quiet corners of the scientific community as well. What are the chances, really? Why now, of all time? As it approached the sun, 3I Atlas revealed itself in ways that only deepened the intrigue. Unlike the familiar comets of our system, its behavior was erratic. At times it flared unexpectedly, brightening in bursts that puzzled observers. Its coma, the glowing halo of gas and dust, displayed unusual spectral signatures, colours and emissions that hinted at a composition unlike any comet we've catalogued before. Its dust grains were finer, its gases more volatile, as though it had been preserved a colder, harsher environment than anything our solar system can provide. To astronomers, these differences were clues, evidence of its alien heritage. To everyone else, they were a reminder that this thing truly did not belong, that we were staring at something foreign, perhaps even hostile, threading through our skies like a spy. And yet, in its strangeness, there was also beauty. Photographs captured its glowing tail against the backdrop of the Milky Way, the streak of light that seemed almost painterly, like a brushstroke left by a hand not our own. For amateur stargazers, it became a sensation. The comet that wasn't a comet, the alien among locals, forums filled with speculation. Was this a sign, a warning, an omen? Was it proof of life beyond Earth, disguised as a wandering rock? Was it a message sent across the gulf of space, arriving just as our eyes were fixed upward? Rational minds cautioned against such leaps, but the questions refused to go away, because the truth is, when faced with something so rare, so improbably timed, people crave meaning, they crave story, and the stranger among us became the focal point of that hunger. Theories abounded. Some suggested 3I Atlas had been nudged toward us by gravitational interactions in its home system, perhaps flung outward by a massive planet and left adrift for eons until it stumbled into our sun's sphere of influence. Others speculated about galactic tides, the slow, unseen pull of the Milky Way itself, guiding interstellar debris into occasional encounters with planetary systems. And then there were those who leaned toward the provocative. What if the object wasn't natural? What if its strange chemistry, its odd behavior, were evidence of something artificial, a relic of a civilization we have yet to discover? These theories, though lacking proof, caught fire in the public imagination because they spoke to our deepest fear and desire that we are not alone, and that the universe might one day send us a sign. Yet, whether natural or not, the presence of 3I Atlas has already reshaped our understanding. Each interstellar visitor confirms that planetary systems across the galaxy are not closed, but leaky, constantly shedding material into the void. Debris from one world can cross the stars to another, and in rare moments those fragments wander close enough for us to see, That fact alone is profound. It means that the building blocks of life, the raw materials of planets, are not isolated. They travel, they spread, they cross-pollinate. 3i Atlas in that sense is not just a stranger, it is a bridge, a reminder that the universe is interconnected in ways we are only beginning to grasp. Its very presence in our skies is a hint that the story of life, of planets, of stars, may be far more entangled than we once thought, and yet the lingering unease remains. Because timing matters, because context matters, because while the comets of 2025 dazzle us with their light, the interstellar visitor adds a layer of mystery that refuses to be explained away. It transforms the spectacle from an anomaly into a riddle, a puzzle that sits at the intersection of science and myth. The stranger among us is both a gift and a challenge, a gift of alien chemistry, a chance to study another star system's remnants up close, and a challenge to our certainty, a reminder that we may not know as much about cosmic order as we thought. It has forced us to look again at the heavens and to wonder not just how the universe works, but why it sometimes chooses to surprise us in ways that feel almost deliberate. When 3i Atlas finally departs, slipping back into the darkness, it will leave no trace behind. It will not return, not in any lifetime we can imagine. Its visit is fleeting, a brief intersection between its ancient path and ours, but the memory of it will remain, etched not just in photographs and data, but in the collective imagination of humanity. It will remain as the moment we realized that even in a year already bursting with impossibility, the universe could still astonish us with something stranger. And long after the comets fade and the swarm becomes legend, the story of the alien among us will endure, whispering a truth we cannot ignore, that we are part of a larger, stranger cosmos, and that sometimes the strangers who cross our path are not accidents at all, but signs that the universe is deeper and more mysterious than we dare to dream. When the heavens change, so do we. The swarm of comets in 2025 and the sudden arrival of an interstellar visitor have not only altered the sky, but also stirred something deep within humanity. For while scientists calculate orbits and measure spectra, ordinary people react with awe, fear, curiosity, and sometimes outright dread. The human response to such phenomena is as old as history itself. From the earliest civilizations, comets were treated as omens, messages from the gods, or warnings of disaster. And though we now live in an age of telescopes, satellites, and instant access to data, those ancient instincts have not disappeared. They linger in our collective imagination, ready to surface whenever the night sky does something extraordinary. And this year, the sky has given us more than enough to awaken them. Across the world, millions of people have taken to rooftops, fields, and mountain ridges to watch the spectacle unfold. Social media is flooded with photographs, glowing streaks of light arcing over city skylines, tails reflected in lakes, comets captured by phone cameras that normally struggle to capture the stars at all. Hashtags trend globally, with people in different countries marveling at the same cosmic show, but alongside the awe lies a current of unease. Comment sections fill with questions that hint at something deeper. Why so many at once? What does it mean? Is it just chance, or is there more to it? Even those who trust science implicitly find themselves unsettled, because no matter how rationally explained, the timing feels uncanny. The emotional reaction cannot be erased by mathematics. It is visceral, instinctive, human. For many, the response has been spiritual. Churches, mosques, and temples report surges in attendance, as people interpret the swarm as a sign of divine power. In some places, sermons speak of the heavens declaring the glory of creation, of the comets as reminders of human smallness and cosmic grandeur. Others take a darker view, reviving old prophecies and warning that the sudden abundance of comets signals upheaval, judgment, or transformation. Ancient texts are dusted off, lines about stars falling from the sky cited as though they were written for this exact moment. The interstellar visitor, too, has been folded into these narratives. To some, it is a messenger, to others, a harbinger of the unknown. Whatever the interpretation, the response is the same. People feel that this is not ordinary, and they search for meaning beyond sight. At the same time, conspiracy theories have flourished. Online forums buzz with speculation that governments are hiding the true significance of the comets, that the interstellar object is not natural but artificial, perhaps even a craft disguised as rock and ice. Some insist it has altered its path in ways no natural object could, proof of hidden propulsion. Others claim that the timing with solar maximum is no accident, that secret experiments or alien contact attempts are underway. None of these ideas are supported by evidence, yet they spread rapidly, fueled by the uncanny feeling that chance alone cannot explain the year's events. It is human nature to fill gaps in understanding with story, and in the age of instant communication, those stories move faster than ever. Yet it would be wrong to reduce the human response to fear or superstition alone. There is also wonder, an almost childlike joy in the face of the spectacle. For children seeing comets for the first time, it is a memory that will never leave them. For artists, musicians and poets, it has become inspiration. Galleries host exhibitions of comet paintings. Musicians release tracks inspired by the alien visitor. Writers weave it into novels and short stories. Humanity has always transformed celestial events into culture, and 2025 is no different. The comets and three-eye atlas have become symbols of mystery, of possibility, of the beauty and fragility of our world. They remind us that we are part of something larger, and in that reminder, creativity flourishes. On a psychological level, the response reveals much about us. In times of uncertainty, people search for patterns and meaning. The convergence of multiple cosmic events at once taps into that instinct, forcing us to grapple with the question of coincidence versus purpose. Some find comfort in the idea that the universe has no meaning, that the comets are nothing more than icy wanderers obeying physics. Others find comfort in the opposite, that there must be a reason, a message, a story unfolding that we are meant to witness. Neither view can be proven, but both shape the way people experience the skies. And in that divergence, we see the spectrum of human nature, the rational and the mystical, the skeptical and the believing, the calm and the anxious, all reacting to the same lights above. Governments and institutions, too, have had to respond. Space agencies release frequent updates, publishing orbital diagrams and data to reassure the public that none of the comets pose a collision risk. Press conferences are held to emphasize the scientific value of the events, highlighting the chance to study cometary chemistry and interstellar material up close. But these reassurances often fall flat because they address safety, not meaning. People are not only afraid of impact, they are unsettled by significance. They want to know why, not just how. And that is a question science is often reluctant to answer. The gap between data and meaning becomes fertile ground for speculation, and so the official responses, though well-intentioned, rarely quiet the unease. Interestingly, not all responses have been anxious. Some movements have embraced the swarm as a call to action. Environmental groups, for example, argue that the sight of multiple comets and an alien visitor reminds us of Earth's fragility, of how small we are in a vast and indifferent cosmos. They call for renewed urgency in protecting our planet, warning that while comets may not destroy us, our own negligence could. Others see the interstellar visitor as a symbol of connection, proof that materials can travel between star systems, and that one day perhaps life might too. For them, Three-Eye Atlas is not a warning, but a promise that humanity's future could extend far beyond the solar system, that the universe is not closed to us, but open, waiting. And then there is the simple, quiet response, the act of looking up. Across cultures and languages, people have stepped outside at night, tilted their heads back, and stared at the sky. In that moment, all divisions blur. Whether you see omens or coincidences, divine signs or random physics, the comets themselves are undeniable, their beauty overwhelming. The interstellar stranger glowing faintly against the stars is real. For a moment, humanity is united in attention, all eyes drawn upward to the same lights. That act, small but profound, is itself a response. It is proof that no matter how advanced our technology, no matter how divided our societies, the sky still has the power to stop us in our tracks and remind us of our shared existence under the same heaven. The human response to 2025's cosmic drama, then, is a tapestry. It is awe and dread, creativity and fear, faith and skepticism, all woven together by the light of comets and the passage of an alien rock. It is the continuation of a story that stretches back to the first humans, who carved notches into bone to track lunar cycles, who painted constellations on cave walls, who told stories of dragons and gods when comets appeared. We have changed in many ways, but not in this. When the sky shifts, we respond. And this year, the shift has been so dramatic that the response may echo for generations, shaping how we think about the cosmos, about ourselves, and about the possibility that meaning and mystery are still alive in the modern age. Ultimately, what the human response reveals is that we are not merely observers of the cosmos, but participants in its story. We project onto the heavens our hopes, our fears, our myths, and our science. The comets and Three-Eye Atlas may not care about us, but we care about them. And in that caring lies the essence of what it means to be human. We are the species that looks up, that wonders, that reacts not only with data, but with imagination. And in 2025, the heavens have given us the rarest of gifts, a chance to see ourselves reflected in the cosmos, to recognize both our fragility and our capacity for awe, and to remember that no matter how rational we become, we will always be creatures of wonder. Every great story leaves behind a trail of questions, and the saga of 2025's skies is no exception. In fact, it may be defined more by the mysteries it has raised than by the answers it has provided. For all the beauty of the comet swarm, for all the scientific data gathered from Three-Eye Atlas, and for all the explanations put forward about gravitational nudges and solar cycles, the truth is that we still don't fully understand what happened. We can measure trajectories, calculate probabilities, and analyze compositions, but none of it erases the lingering sense of incompleteness. Instead, the more we learn, the more new questions arise, some of them unsettling, others exhilarating, and all of them pointing to a larger truth, that the universe still keeps its deepest secrets locked away, even when it gives us glimpses of. One of the most pressing questions is about the timing. Why now? Comets have always been part of our solar system, lurking in the dark outskirts until something disturbed them. Interstellar objects have always existed, traveling between stars, flung out during the violent formation of alien worlds. But why would so many comets appear at once? And why would an interstellar visitor arrive at the same time? The statistical odds are so minuscule that some astronomers have quietly admitted discomfort. It's not that chance cannot produce such alignments. It can, but the sheer improbability demands attention. Are we missing some hidden cycle, some larger mechanism that organizes these events? Or is it truly just coincidence? The kind that happens once in a million years, and we just happen to be alive to witness it? The question lingers unanswered, and perhaps unanswerable, but it refuses to fade. Another question concerns origins. For the comets of the swarm, we can trace their paths back to the Oort cloud, or the Kuiper belt, but their simultaneous appearance suggests they may have been disturbed by something larger. Was there a passing star unseen but close enough to tug them inward? Was there a massive object lurking in the far reaches of the solar system, the much-theorized Planet 9, whose gravity could have orchestrated their plunge? If such a planet exists, finding it would rewrite astronomy, reshaping our understanding of the solar system's architecture. But for now, it remains hypothetical, its existence neither confirmed nor disproven. The unanswered question is tantalizing. Are we on the verge of discovering a hidden world, one that may be responsible for the most spectacular year of comets in human history? And then there is Three-Eye Atlas. Its arrival poses questions of a different order, questions that reach beyond our solar system. Where did it come from? Which star system was its birthplace? Was it once part of a planet, a moon, a cometary belt orbiting some distant sun? The chemical differences in its makeup hint at a very different cosmic environment, one we may never be able to fully reconstruct. Each analysis only deepens the puzzle. Its volatile compounds suggest it formed in a colder, darker place than any region of our system. Its dust grains tell a story of collisions and conditions that don't match what we know. It is, in short, a fragment of another world, and yet we cannot place that world on the map. The unanswered question of its origin is both thrilling and frustrating, a reminder that the galaxy is filled with unknowns we may never pin down. Its behavior has also raised eyebrows. Three-Eye Atlas flared unexpectedly at times, brightened in bursts that were hard to predict, and its coma displayed odd spectral features. Was this simply the effect of unfamiliar chemistry reacting to our sun's radiation, or was something stranger at play? Oumuamua, the first interstellar visitor we ever detected, sparked endless debate because of its unusual acceleration, which some argued could not be explained by natural causes alone. With Atlas, the debate is quieter but still present. Did we witness behavior that defies our models? If so, are we too quick to dismiss anomalies for fear of sounding speculative? The unanswered question here is not just about one object, but about how open we are willing to be to possibilities that challenge our assumptions. Beyond the scientific unknowns, There are questions of meaning. The year's events have reawakened ancient instincts, the search for purpose in the heavens. Are these comets and the interstellar visitor mere coincidences, or are they signs, symbols of something great? For many, that question has no clear answer, yet it continues to drive interpretation. The unanswered nature of it makes it powerful, because meaning is not confined to the measurable. Even if science proves that the timing was random, people will still ask what it meant, what it stirred in us, why it happened in a year already filled with uncertainty and change. The question of meaning cannot be settled by data, only by the stories we tell ourselves, and in that sense the unanswered becomes eternal, part of the mythic dimension of human experience. There are also practical, even existential questions. Could one of these comets, or a future swarm, ever pose a real threat? If multiple comets can appear together once, could it happen again, with one on a collision course with Earth? Do we have the technology to prevent catastrophe if such a scenario unfolds? The swarm of 2025 has forced scientists and governments to confront this reality. Even if none of the current comets are dangerous, the unanswered question of planetary defense looms larger now, because the improbable has happened. And if the improbable can happen once, it can happen again. Humanity must ask itself how prepared it really is for a world where the sky is not just beautiful, but has it. Even deeper questions emerge when we step back further. Are there hidden rhythms in the universe? Cosmic cycles so vast and slow that we have not yet lived long enough to recognize them? Do comet swarms occur every 100,000 years, every million, every billion, leaving only faint traces in geology and myth? Is there a pattern that spans not decades or centuries, but eons, one that determines when interstellar objects cross our paths, when cometary waves crash into our skies? The unanswered question of cosmic rhythm is perhaps the most humbling of all, because it reminds us how brief our perspective is. We have been recording the skies for only a blink of geological time. What might we discover if we could watch for another 100,000 years? Another million? The unanswered stretches out into the future, taunting us with the limits of our vision. And then, the most haunting question of all, are we alone? Not because comets and interstellar rocks prove otherwise, but because their convergence feels like a message, intentional or not. If civilizations beyond Earth exist, would they not use the universal language of the sky to communicate? Would they not choose patterns so improbable that they could not be ignored? It is speculation, yes, but speculation that grips the imagination. The unanswered question of life beyond Earth has always been with us. But in a year like this, it grows louder, harder to dismiss, harder to silence. Each glowing trail in the night sky feels like punctuation in a sentence we cannot yet read. What 2025 has taught us is that unanswered questions are not failures. They are openings, invitations to wonder, to explore, to push further. They remind us that certainty is rare, and that mystery is the default state of the universe. The comets will fade, the interstellar visitor will vanish, but the questions they leave behind will remain, gnawing at the edges of our understanding, inspiring new theories, new discoveries, new myths. And perhaps that is the greatest gift of all, not the spectacle itself, but the hunger it awakens. The unanswered questions are what keep us looking up, what keep us restless, what keep us human. They ensure that the story of 2025 will not end with the fading of comet tails, but will continue in every conversation, every theory, every child who sees those lights and asks. As the dazzling year of 2025 moves toward its close, one question rises above all others. What comes next? The comet swarm will fade, their brilliant tails dissolving back into the darkness as they continue their long journeys around the sun or back into the cold outskirts of the solar system. The interstellar visitor will depart, vanishing into the void, never to return. The spectacle will end, but the consequences are only beginning. For every celestial event of this scale reshapes how humanity thinks about the universe, how science approaches unanswered mysteries, and how ordinary people look at the sky. The beauty of this year may fade from sight, but its echoes will reverberate for decades, guiding research, fueling imagination, and perhaps even altering the trajectory of human history. Looking ahead, we are left with both hope and unease, wonder and uncertainty, as the future unfolds in the long shadow of this extraordinary cosmic convergence. The first step forward is scientific. Astronomers across the world are already combing through the unprecedented mountain of data collected during the swarm and the passage of 3i Atlas. Every telescope, from backyard instruments to orbiting observatories, has captured pieces of the puzzle: spectral analysis of the comet's gases, high-resolution imagery of their nuclei, measurements of dust grains trailing in their tails. All of it is being compiled into a global archive. The interstellar visitor, though fleeting, has left behind priceless insights into the chemistry of another star system, data that will occupy researchers for years. The questions raised in 2025 may not be answered immediately, but the groundwork is being laid. Looking ahead, one of the great legacies of this year will be its scientific harvest, a trove of clues about cosmic origins and interstellar processes that may lead to discoveries we cannot yet imagine. At the same time, technology is being reshaped by what we've witnessed. Already, space agencies and private companies are discussing new missions inspired by the events of proposals for faster, more agile spacecraft capable of intercepting interstellar objects, are moving from theory into design. Had 3i Atlas been closer or brighter, humanity might have missed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to study it up close, simply because we lacked the technology to react quickly. That realization has struck a nerve. Looking ahead, there is renewed urgency to develop systems that can chase down these fleeting visitors, to capture samples or send probes before they vanish forever. The comet swarm, too, has highlighted the need for better monitoring and rapid response observation networks, ensuring we never miss the chance to turn celestial surprises into lasting knowledge. The skies of 2025 have not only dazzled us, but also challenged us to be ready, to stop treating the cosmos as a distant backdrop and start treating it as a frontier demanding active engagement. But science and technology are only part of the story. The cultural and psychological impact of this year will linger as well. Generations who watched the comet swarm will carry those memories into the future. Children who gazed at the sky with wide eyes may grow into the scientists, artists, and dreamers of tomorrow, shaped by what they saw in 2025. Entire movements may trace their inspiration back to this year, when the heavens themselves reminded us of our place in the cosmos. Looking ahead, one can imagine documentaries, novels, and music albums born from this spectacle, each transforming fleeting lights in the sky into lasting works of culture. The skies have always shaped human imagination, from cave paintings to Shakespeare to modern cinema, and 2025 will become part of that lineage, a moment when the universe itself became muse once again. There is also the matter of philosophy. Looking ahead, the questions stirred by 2025 will not go away. Are such convergences purely random, or do they hint at hidden structures in the universe? Does the arrival of interstellar visitors mean that cosmic material constantly trades hands between star systems? And if so, what does that mean for the spread of life? Are we alone, or are these events part of a larger story we have yet to decode? These questions are not fleeting, they are durable, the kind that persist for centuries. The comets will vanish, but the debates they spark will endure, perhaps shaping how future generations view themselves in the cosmic order. Looking ahead, we may find that the true impact of 2025 is not the spectacle itself, but the way it has forced us to ask harder questions, to confront the limits of our knowledge, and to accept that mystery is still alive in a supposedly mapped-out universe. Practical consequences loom as well. Planetary defense, once a niche concern, now feels urgent. If multiple comets can appear together once, could they do so again? And what if one were on a collision course with Earth? The swarm of 2025 may not have threatened us directly, but it has reminded us how fragile we are, how vulnerable to cosmic events beyond our control. Looking ahead, governments may invest more seriously in deflection technologies, impact monitoring systems, and international cooperation for planetary protection. The heavens have always inspired awe, but they also inspire caution, and 2025 has underscored the thin line between spectacle and catastrophe. Preparing for the worst while marveling at the best may become humanity's new dual response to the cosmos. For ordinary people, the looking ahead may be more personal. After nights of gathering with friends and family to watch the skies, after sharing images and stories online, the world feels subtly different. The sky no longer seems so static, so predictable. It feels alive, capable of change, capable of surprise. That awareness shifts perspective. Looking ahead, people may pay more attention to the heavens, more willing to step outside and look up. It may not change daily life in obvious ways, but it changes the texture of existence, a sense of living not under a mechanical clockwork, but under a sky capable of wonder. That in itself is a kind of revolution. There is, however, unease woven into the future. Looking ahead, people will wonder if 2025 was a one-time marvel or a sign of more to come. Will the skies remain quiet for decades, leaving this year to stand out as an anomaly, or have we entered a new era of cosmic instability, where swarms and strangers will become more frequent? The truth is, no one knows. The unanswered questions of timing and cause linger, and with them comes a shadow of uncertainty. For some, that uncertainty is thrilling, a reminder that we live in a dynamic universe. For others, it is unsettling, a reminder that stability is an illusion. Looking ahead, humanity must learn to live with that uncertainty, to embrace it not as weakness but as an invitation to wonder. The greatest promise of looking ahead, though, lies in the possibility of discovery. If the Swarm and Three-Eye Atlas are puzzles, then solving them may lead us to new truths about the cosmos. Perhaps we will find evidence of Planet 9 reshaping our map of the solar system. Perhaps future probes will intercept interstellar objects, carrying back samples that prove life's building blocks are scattered widely across the galaxy. Perhaps the chemistry of these visitors will reveal that we are not unique, that the seeds of planets and life are universal. Looking ahead, every unanswered question is also an opportunity, a chance to learn something profound about our place in the cosmos. Maybe, just maybe, looking ahead means preparing for contact, not with a comet, but with intelligence. While most scientists caution against such speculation, the truth is that the timing of 2025 has stirred imaginations. If we were to receive a message, if the universe were to reveal its larger story, it would look like this: a sky filled with improbable patterns, a stranger from another star arriving at the perfect moment. Whether or not that meaning is real, it has planted a seed. Looking ahead, humanity may be more willing to consider the possibility of connection, more open to the idea that the universe is not silent, but speaking in ways we have yet to decode. As the lights fade, as 2025 becomes memory, we stand at a threshold. Behind us is a year unlike any other, a year when the heavens staged a spectacle that defied our sense of normalcy. Ahead of us lies the unknown mysteries, challenges, opportunities, and the enduring hunger to understand. Looking ahead, we are reminded of the simplest truth: the sky is never finished. It will change again. It will surprise us again. And when it does, we will once more find ourselves looking up, asking questions, searching for meaning, and marveling at the vast and beautiful mystery of the universe. Long after the comet tails have faded from the night sky and the interstellar visitor has slipped back into the infinite darkness, the year 2025 will linger in memory. It will not fade quickly like a passing news headline or dissolve like the glow of a shooting star. It will live on as one of those rare moments in human history when the cosmos itself seemed to reach down and shake us awake. The legacy of 2025 is not just the spectacle, though that alone was breathtaking. Its true legacy lies in how it reshaped our imagination, our science, our culture, and our sense of what it means to be part of the universe. Years from now, people will look back on this year and mark it not only as extraordinary but as transformative, a turning point in how humanity sees the sky above and itself beneath it. One part of the legacy will be cultural. Just as Halley's Comet left an imprint on medieval chronicles and Hale-Bopp defined the 1990s for stargazers, the Swarm of 2025 will become a symbol for this era. It will appear in novels and films, in art and poetry, in songs and digital murals, a shorthand for wonder and mystery. Children who were small enough to be lifted onto shoulders to see their first comet will grow into adults who tell the story of 2025 to their children, who recall how the sky once looked alive with streaks of light and how an alien visitor passed by at the same time. This legacy will echo across generations, embedding itself into cultural memory the way eclipses and meteor storms once did. The year will become a reference point, a story told again and again, a reminder that the universe is not static, but capable of staging spectacles that rival any myth. The scientific legacy will be just as profound. The mountains of data gathered during the Swarm and the passage of Three-Eye Atlas will fuel research for decades. Every spectrograph reading, every image of a fractured nucleus, every particle of dust analyzed will add to our understanding of comets and interstellar matter. Already, scientists are speaking of 2025 as a watershed, a year when multiple fields of astronomy converged: planetary science, solar physics, astrophysics, even astrobiology. The legacy of this year will be discoveries not yet made, Breakthroughs born years or decades from now when researchers revisit the data with new tools and sharper theories. Future textbooks will mark 2025 as a milestone, a year when anomalies became catalysts, when questions multiplied but so did insights, when humanity realized it was standing on the edge of a deeper cosmic truth. Another layer of the legacy lies in technology. 2025 has already sparked new momentum in designing missions that can intercept fast-moving interstellar objects. For decades, such missions were considered impractical, the realm of science fiction, but the sudden appearance of 3-iron Atlas has changed that. The sense of opportunity lost, the realization that we could have studied a piece of another star system up close, but lacked the readiness, has lit a fire under space agencies and private innovators alike. The legacy of 2025 may well be the launch of the first rapid response probes, spacecraft designed to chase down the next alien visitor. In the same way the Apollo program was driven by a moment in history, the strange convergence of this year may become the spark for an entire generation of exploration, the legacy of missed opportunity transformed into determination never to miss again. The psychological and philosophical legacy cannot be ignored either. 2025 reminded us of our smallness, our fragility and our hunger for meaning. For a brief time, the night sky was not an abstract expanse, but a living canvas of change. It reminded us that the universe is not a backdrop, but a story in which we participate. People looked up and felt awe, fear, and wonder all at once. That legacy will endure in the way we speak of the cosmos in the years to come. No longer will the stars seem so remote, so unchanged. Instead, they will feel alive, unpredictable, capable of delivering beauty and mystery in ways that defy our assumptions. The legacy of 2025 is that it reignited something ancient in us, the instinct to look up, to wonder, to search for meaning not just in the world below but in the heavens above. There is also a legacy of unease, and perhaps this too is valuable. The uncanny timing of the swarm and the interstellar visitor has left many unsettled. Even as scientists emphasize natural explanations, the improbability continues to haunt us. Was it all chance? Was there some hidden mechanism, some cosmic rhythm we have yet to recognize? Or was it in some sense a message? These questions will linger as part of the legacy, shaping how future generations interpret cosmic anomalies. The unease may fuel vigilance, a heightened awareness that the universe is not as stable as we imagine. That awareness in turn may drive both caution and curiosity, ensuring that the next anomaly is met, not with complacency but with urgency. For some, the legacy will be deeply personal. The year 2025 may mark the moment they first truly connected with the cosmos. The nights they spent lying on rooftops, watching comet tails streak the sky, will become part of their identity, a touchstone memory they carry for life. The photographs they took, the conversations they had, the quiet moments of awe will all live on long after the comets themselves are gone. This personal legacy is no less important than the scientific or cultural one, because it ensures that the story of 2025 is not just written in books or journals, but etched into the human heart. And when those people tell their stories, they will keep the legacy alive, reminding others that they too live under a sky capable of wonder. Looking even further ahead, the legacy may expand in ways we cannot yet predict. If Planet 9 is discovered, its story will be traced back to the suspicions raised during the comet swarm. If a rapid response probe one day captures an interstellar object, the achievement will be tied to the lessons of if humanity ever spreads to the stars, carrying its culture and its stories with it, the memory of this year may travel too, a reminder that even before we left Earth, the universe reached out to remind us of its mystery. Legacies are rarely linear. They ripple outward in unexpected direction, and the ripple of 2025 is only beginning. What gives the legacy of 2025 its power is the balance it holds between knowledge and mystery. We learned much, but not everything. We saw more than we expected, but less than we wanted. We were given both answers and unanswered questions, clarity and confusion, wonder and unease. That balance ensures that 2025 will not fade into the background of history. Instead, it will stand as a hinge moment, a year that redefined our relationship with the sky, a year that forced us to recognize that the universe is stranger, grander, and more alive than we often admit. It is a legacy that will endure because it touches every level of human experience: science, culture, technology, imagination, and emotion. And perhaps the greatest legacy of all is this: 2025 reminded us that we are part of the story, We are not passive spectators watching the heavens unfold. We are participants, interpreters, dreamers, and explorers. The comets and the interstellar stranger did not simply appear. They drew us into dialogue, forced us to respond, to think, to feel, to wonder. That response, that engagement, is the essence of humanity. The legacy of 2025 is not just what the universe showed us, but how we answer. And in that answer lies a truth that will carry forward into the future. But as long as we are here, as long as we look up, the universe will never cease to shape us, and we will never cease to search for meaning in its endless, mysterious dance. The spectacle of 2025 will end, but the story it has set in motion will not. The comets will continue their long orbits, fading from view as they retreat into the outer reaches of the solar system, their tails dissolving into nothingness. The interstellar visitor will slip silently back into the abyss, vanishing beyond our sight and memory, destined never to return. Yet even as the sky grows quiet again, what lies beyond the swarm is more important than the event itself. Because the swarm was not just a show, it was a reminder, a spark, a door half open to questions and possibilities, far larger than the comets themselves. To move beyond the swarm is to grapple with what it means for the future of science, of humanity, of our place in the vastness of the cosmos. First, we must confront the reality that the swarm and the stranger have changed our perception of the sky forever. Before 2025, the heavens were seen by most as stable, predictable, and indifferent. Stars shone in their places, planets moved in familiar patterns, and only rarely did something unusual intrude on that order. The swarm shattered that illusion. For months, the night sky seemed alive, restless, unpredictable, full of motion and fire. The stranger three-eyed atlas made it even clearer that the cosmos is not a sealed system, but an open sea, with ships of ice and rock drifting between stars, sometimes crossing our waters. Beyond the swarm, humanity must carry this awareness forward, that the universe is dynamic, not static, and that we live within a story still unfolding. For scientists, moving beyond the swarm means pursuing the mysteries it revealed with renewed urgency. The questions raised cannot be left to fade like comet tails. Why did so many comets arrive together? Was it chance or the effect of hidden forces? Does Planet 9 lurk in the darkness, orchestrating the paths of distant icy bodies? Could galactic tides or passing stars have disturbed the Oort cloud, sending a wave of comets inward? And what of the interstellar visitor? What world birthed it? What star flung it outward, and how many others like it are drifting unseen through the galaxy? These are not idle questions. They will shape research for decades, driving new missions, new telescopes, new theory. Beyond the swarm lies a new frontier of exploration, born not from prediction but from surprise, from the universe reminding us that it is far larger and more mysterious than our models suggest. Beyond the swarm also lies a challenge for technology. Humanity was not ready for Three-Eye Atlas. We watched it pass, measured it from afar, captured its light with telescopes. We could not touch it, could not intercept it, could not seize the opportunity to hold in our hands a fragment of another star system. That failure is haunting, and it will not be forgotten. Already engineers are designing rapid response spacecraft that could launch at a moment's notice, intercepting the next interstellar traveler before it slips away. The swarm and the stranger have taught us that the cosmos will not wait for us. We must be ready when it offers its gift. Beyond the swarm lies a future in which humanity takes a more active role, no longer passive spectators but agile explorers, prepared to chase down the next alien rock, the next interstellar messenger, wherever and whenever it appears. But beyond the swarm is not just science and technology. It is also culture, memory and imagination. The comets of 2025 will live on in stories, in art, in myth. Just as ancient people carved comet symbols into stone and wove them into their prophecies, so too will we weave this year into our narratives. Writers will describe characters who grew up under the swarm, musicians will compose symphonies that capture its light, filmmakers will use its imagery to conjure wonder or dread. Beyond the swarm lies a cultural legacy that will endure long after the details of orbital mechanics are forgotten. The stranger will become a metaphor, the alien, the outsider, the unexpected guest who arrives at the most improbable moment. And in that metaphor, generations will find meaning, even if they never saw the comet tails themselves. Beyond the swarm also lies a shift in psychology. The events of 2025 reminded us that the universe is not predictable in the ways we often assume. That realization is both humbling and unsettling. It forces us to confront our fragility, to recognize that the Earth we depend on floats through a cosmos alive with motion, with icy projectiles, with strangers from other suns. Yet it also awakens awe, reminding us that we are part of something vast and extraordinary. Beyond the swarm, people may look at the night sky differently, not as a static ceiling, but as a stage of ongoing drama, a place where surprises lurk. That shift may be subtle, but it changes everything. It means that wonder has returned, that the heavens are no longer dismissed as irrelevant to daily life, but embraced again as a source of mystery and meaning. And then there is the deepest layer of what lies beyond the swarm, the philosophical and existential questions it leaves behind. Was it all chance? Or was there pattern, perhaps even purpose? If civilizations beyond Earth exist, would they not use such cosmic alignments as messages, signals written in the only language every world can see? The night sky itself, even if no intelligence is behind the swarm, does its improbability suggest that the universe itself has rhythms we have yet to recognize? These questions may never be answered, but they matter. Beyond the swarm lies the awareness that meaning is not fixed, but created, that the stories we tell about the sky are as important as the data we collect. The swarm forced us to ask why, not just how, and that question will linger, shaping how we approach the next anomaly, the next wonder, the next stranger among us. Practically, beyond the swarm also means preparation. The comets of 2025 may not have threatened Earth, but they reminded us of the potential danger. If swarms can occur once, they can occur again, and next time, one of the comets could be on a collision course. The stranger 3i Itilis may have been harmless, but what if the next interstellar visitor is larger, closer, or less stable? Beyond the swarm lies a new awareness of vulnerability, a reminder that planetary defense is not optional but essential. If 2025 taught us anything, it is that the cosmos will surprise us, and we cannot afford to be complacent. Beyond the swarm lies urgency, the need to prepare for the possibility that the sky's beauty may one day bring catastrophe. But perhaps the greatest truth of what lies beyond the swarm is this: humanity will never look at the universe the same way again. The year 2025 will not be forgotten, because it was not just a year of comets and a visitor. It was a year of awakening, a year when the sky itself reminded us of wonder, of fragility, of possibility. Beyond the swarm lies a future where we carry that memory, where every child who saw the comets grows up knowing the sky can change, where every scientist who studied 3i Atlas feels the weight of missed opportunity, where every person who looked up feels a quiet pull to keep looking. That is the legacy and the promise, that beyond the swarm, humanity moves forward with eyes wider open, hearts more attuned to mystery, and a future forever shaped by the fire and ice of a year when the heavens came alive. The story of 2025 skies does not end with silence. It ends with a dawn. After months of brilliance, after nights when the heavens were alive with fire and dust, the last fragments of the comet swarm faded into obscurity. One by one, their tails dissolved back into the black canvas of space, leaving only faint memories in the air and the minds of those who watched. The interstellar stranger, 3i Atlas, drifted outward, shrinking to a dim point before vanishing entirely, swallowed by the void between stars. Yet, even as the spectacle dimmed, something lingered, something that refused to disappear with the light. The final dawn of this saga is not the vanishing of comets or the silence of the void. It is the beginning of a new awareness, a quiet awakening that will ripple far beyond. For once the sky has spoken, it cannot be unheard. Once the universe has revealed its strangeness, we cannot return to a time when we saw it as simple, predictable, or indifferent. The final dawn begins with memory. Those who stood outside on crisp nights and watched the sky glow with multiple comet tails will never forget it. They will remember the shimmering arcs across the horizon, the feeling of wonder so raw it made the world below seem smaller, almost fragile. They will remember the hushed conversations, the whispered awe, the sudden laughter when someone realized they were seeing history unfold above their heads. The stranger's passage will remain etched in memory too, a single alien traveler that reminded us how wide the galaxy truly is. These moments are seeds planted deep in the collective consciousness, seeds that will grow into stories, art, myths, and dreams. The final dawn is not just about what was seen, but about what will be remembered, and how that memory will shape generations to come. But memory alone does not capture the power of this dawn. there is also transformation. The events of 2025 did not just entertain or astonish, they changed us. They altered the way humanity thinks about the universe, about its own place within it. For centuries, modern science has treated the cosmos as predictable, a realm governed by rules and cycles that, once understood, robbed the sky of its ancient mystery. But the swarm and the stranger unsettled that narrative. They reminded us that the cosmos is not fully known, not entirely predictable, not as safe or mapped as we once believed. The final dawn is the recognition that mystery remains, that awe still has a place in an age of equations and satellites. It is a return to humility, to wonder, to the sense that the universe is not finished revealing itself. The dawn also carries responsibility, for while the comets and the stranger were harmless this time, their appearance was a reminder that the heavens can bring not only beauty but danger. A swarm of icy bodies could, in another age or another orbit, deliver catastrophe to Earth. An interstellar object could carry instability, unexpected trajectories, or volatile substances. The lesson of 2025 is not just that we should marvel at the sky, but that we must prepare for it. The final dawn is therefore practical as well as philosophical. It is the moment when humanity realizes it must take planetary defense seriously, must invest in detection and deflection, must prepare for the possibility that the next swarm may not pass so gently. This dawn is a call to vigilance, an awakening not just of imagination but of responsibility. At the same time, the final dawn shines on opportunity. 3GPI Atlas may have slipped away, but it has inspired the creation of technologies to chase the next interstellar visitor. The comets may have gone, but they have reminded us how much remains to be learned from the icy remnants of creation. The dawn is filled with possibilities, missions to intercept future wanderers, telescopes to map the farthest reaches of the Oort cloud, collaborations across nations to ensure no anomaly is missed. The final dawn is therefore a promise. It tells us that the story is not over, that the universe will send more mysteries our way, and that this time we will be ready to meet them not with surprise alone, but with action. The dawn also illuminates meaning. Beyond data, beyond science, beyond strategy, there is the human hunger for significance. People looked at the comets and felt not just awe, but a question rising in their hearts. Why now? Why here? Why this alignment of wonders in a single year? That question will never have one answer. For some, it was chance. For others, it was a sign, a whisper of destiny, a reminder that the universe speaks in symbols. For others still, it was simply beauty without reason. Yet in all cases, it was something that stirred the soul. The final dawn is not the fading of mystery, but its persistence, the way it compels us to keep searching for meaning in the stars, to weave their patterns into the story of our lives. In that sense, the dawn is eternal, because meaning does not vanish with the light. It lingers, shaping how we see ourselves and our world. The final dawn also carries with it a paradox, endings and beginnings intertwined. The swarm is over, but its impact is only beginning. The stranger is gone, but its lessons are still unfolding. The year 2025 will end, but its legacy will stretch far into the future. The dawn marks this paradox beautifully, because dawn itself is both an ending and a beginning, the end of night, the beginning of day. So it is with the skies of the final dawn is not closure but transition, the moment when awe becomes action, when questions become quests, when memories become momentum. It is the moment when humanity steps into a new relationship with the cosmos, one defined not by indifference but by intimacy, not by complacency but by curiosity. What lies ahead after this dawn? More surprises, more wonders, more mysteries. Perhaps a future swarm will come, darker and more dangerous, forcing us to defend ourselves against the very beauty we once admired. Perhaps another interstellar visitor will arrive, one we are ready to meet, one that delivers knowledge so profound it changes our understanding of life itself. Perhaps Planet 9 will reveal itself, reshaping our map of the solar system, or perhaps the skies will remain quiet for centuries, leaving the legacy of 2025 to grow in memory and myth. Whatever happens, the dawn assures us that the universe is not done. It is alive, it is restless, and it will continue to surprise us. And so the final dawn is not just for 2025, it is for us all, in every era, in every future. It reminds us to look up, to keep searching, to hold on to wonder even when science tempts us to believe all is known. It reminds us that the cosmos is not just equations but stories, not just mechanics, but mysteries, not just a backdrop but a participant in our shared existence. The dawn tells us that as long as we live beneath the stars, the universe will never stop shaping us, never stop awakening us, never stop calling us to see beyond ourselves. The comets are gone, the stranger has vanished, the year has passed, but the final dawn remains, rising quietly in the hearts of all who witnessed it, reminding us that the story of the cosmos is endless, and that we, fragile and curious as we are part of it. Perhaps that is the greatest gift of all. Not the spectacle itself, but the dawn that follows, the awareness that we are forever entwined with the universe's unfolding, forever witnesses to its beauty, forever participants in its mystery. The story of 2025, with its swarm of comets and its lone interstellar visitor, will not be remembered only as an astronomical anomaly. It will be remembered as a moment when the sky reminded us of its power, its mystery, and its ability to shape human imagination in ways that nothing on Earth can match. For centuries we have looked up and told ourselves stories about the stars, the planets, and the omens that streak across the heavens. In modern times we have wrapped those stories in science, explained the motions, calculated the probabilities, and convinced ourselves that mystery was fading away. But 2025 shattered that illusion. It reminded us that the universe is not ours to tame or fully understand, that no matter how many satellites we launch or how many equations we write, the cosmos will always find ways to surprise us, and perhaps that is its greatest gift, that it keeps us from sinking into complacency, that it demands awe, that it insists on being more than just background to our lives. The conclusion of this story is not the fading of light or the silence that followed the swarm. It is the recognition that what we saw was more than spectacle. It was a turning point. Scientists will spend decades analyzing the data, teasing out what it means about the origins of comets, the architecture of our solar system, and the chemistry of alien worlds. Engineers will design faster, more versatile spacecraft, driven by the urgency to meet the next visitor not with helplessness but with readiness. Artists, writers, and dreamers will transform the memory into symbols that endure, embedding the comets and the stranger into culture, myth, and imagination. And ordinary people, those who simply stood beneath the night sky and watched, will carry the memory as a private treasure, a moment when the universe reached down and touched them. That too is part of the conclusion, the way cosmic events become personal, the way the vastness of space collapses into something intimate, shared between human hearts. But perhaps the most important conclusion is this: the universe is not finished with us. What we saw in 2025 is not the last word. It is a reminder that the cosmos has more to say, more to show, more to teach. We live in a restless universe filled with bodies in motion, with hidden worlds, with travelers that cross between stars. We live in a universe where improbabilities can align, where 7 comets can appear at once, where an alien rock can arrive at the same time, where wonder can become reality overnight. And if it can happen once, it can happen again. The conclusion of 2025 is not an ending, but a beginning of new questions, new quests, new possibilities. It is the recognition that we stand on the edge of a vast unfolding story, one that will continue long after we are gone, one that invites us to be not just observers but participants. So as the comets fade and the stranger vanishes, as the skies return to quiet, we are left with something deeper than memory. We are left with awareness that the universe is larger than our understanding, stranger than our predictions, and more alive than we dare to imagine. Awareness that our place in it is fragile but meaningful, small but significant. Awareness that the cosmos is not silent, but speaking in ways we must learn to hear. This awareness is the true conclusion, the legacy that outlasts light and shadow. And if we hold on to it, if we let it shape how we look at the world and the heavens beyond it, then the story of 2025 will never really end. It will live on in every upward glance, every new discovery, every whispered question in the dark. What else is out there? What comes next? What secrets still wait to be revealed?